Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of SoTellus Time. Today we are going to be talking about marketing budgets. And some of you guys just went, oh my gosh, marketing budgets. No, I don't want to talk about marketing. I don't want to talk about the budget and the spending. And some of you hopefully went, oh yes, hallelujah, please. I want to talk about marketing budgets. Because that's honestly a big thing that we get asked when we come into these companies and we do consulting with them is, what should my marketing budget be? And the other thing is, people don't realize what is actually under the umbrella of marketing. Yeah. They don't realize that, like, oh, well, this is, and this is, and this is, and this is. They don't always view that as, oh, this is marketing, and that should be coming out of my marketing budget. And then the third thing that people don't realize all the time is money that they're spending that they could be putting towards marketing, and they're probably just wasting that money. So we'll get into that a little bit later as well. But let's jump into some of the things that fall under marketing. And I'm just going to list these off pretty quick, but your website falls under marketing, online ads, print materials. You guys said duh to all of these. Yes, we understand. Flyers, brochures, you guys get that. But maybe you didn't recognize this. Referral fees. People don't always put referral fees or commissions or affiliate fees under their marketing budget. Yeah. They look at it as like, oh, well, that's a referral fee. That's a referral. I gave somebody gave me a referral and I gave them something back for it. But that actually comes out of the marketing budget, and you should be tracking that. All this stuff, you should be tracking what each one of these, what you spend on it, and what it brings back to you. But as an example, I want to give an example of us personally. This is not across the board, but just in our referral fees alone, we pay a 35% commission. Yeah. Now, a lot of people just went, oh my gosh, like that's crazy. I could never give 35% away. I wouldn't make any money. I completely understand. And guess what? We don't give 35% away across the board in our company, but these different types of marketing, we actually track it per marketing. And that's what we're going to recommend to you guys today. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later as well. But we give a 35% commission. Now that's not like, for instance, what we spend on our SEO or what we spend on, online ads. And we'll go over that as well. But the next thing would be marketing softwares. So you say, well, what's a marketing software? Well, anything that helps you communicate with your customers is a marketing software. Tracking and communication, reporting, anything like that. So Salesforce, for instance, Infusionsoft, any kind of text message marketing systems that you guys have, that is going to fall under your marketing budget. Like I just said a second ago, SEO, that's going to fall under your marketing budget. Any content marketing platforms like article services, blogging services, things like that, that's going to fall under that. And then one that people don't really put into their budgets, which I think is funny, is events. Sponsorships. So within that, you've got the sponsorship to go to the event, but then you also have your travel, you've got food, if you have to rent a car, a hotel, if you've got to get an Uber, all of these things actually fall under your marketing budget, but people don't take that out. In fact, they might. So people are guilty of this all the time. They might actually take out the event. So it costs you $1,500 to go and have an exhibit at this event. And maybe you even take out the expense of your booth for that, your backdrops and everything like that. What they don't tend to take out of their marketing budget is their travel expenses and their food. They just like pass over that. And it's like, well, hold on. No, that's an important number because that can add up. Flights, all of that all adds up. So those are just a few of the things that you could be putting under your marketing budget. Now, we're going to talk about how much you should actually be spending on marketing, and I'm going to let Troy take that one over.
Yeah, so this number can vary, but like the SBA, which is the Small Business Association, they recommend that businesses that are making less than $5 million a year in revenue should spend 10 to 12% of their gross revenue on marketing. So that means if you're doing $100,000 in revenue in a given year, you should be spending at least $10,000 to $12,000 a year on your marketing.
And what's funny is people go, wait, what? And they think, that's too much money. I can't spend $10,000 a year. I only make $100,000 a year.
Right. And if you break that down to a month, that's about $1,000 a month. And they go, what? I can't spend $1,000. Well, guess what? If you're not marketing your business and you're not growing your business, then you're not going to be a $100,000 business.
Yeah, you can't afford to not market your business. When you think, and this is the big problem that a lot of companies have, especially the small guys. And we were there too. Yes. But in the beginning, you're taking the money home to pay the bills, right? And take care of your families and all of these things. And so when we come in and we say, okay, what you need to do is start taking $1,000, you need to start spending it on this, this, and this, people go, oh my gosh, that means instead of $100,000 taking home $100,000, I'm only going to take home $90,000 this year, or, or whatever that is. And they freak out a little bit. And so you got to get out of that mindset. You should be looking at your business as, if you make $100,000, you only make, and you pretty much take that home because you're like a self, a sole proprietorship or something like that. You only make 90,000 then. You only make 90,000 because 10,000's got to get spent on marketing. Because here's the thing is, if you're not spending it, you're not going to be growing. Next year, you want to be a $200,000 business or a $400,000 business. And the thing is that people don't realize, they think, oh, well, if I do this, then they look at it in such small increments. They like, oh yeah, if I do this, I could go to $200,000. No, it doesn't always work that way. In fact, most businesses that I have seen actually have better growth than just that, than just doubling. Like getting to a certain point, you'll see it's hard to get to a certain point. Like they always say, it's so hard to get to your first million, but then to go from 1 million to 2 million isn't as hard as it was, because you kind of know what you're doing now. You know how you're marketing and what's working and everything like that. So it's funny. I see these businesses all the time jump from like 100,000 to like 400,000. And that's what we're talking about here. The potential that we're talking about is not just doubling your business. You could be quadrupling your business if you would just do these simple things.
Yep, exactly. Now, again, if you're in a competitive market, you should actually expect to spend about 20% of your gross revenues on marketing.
Yeah.
So if you are not in a competitive market, then good for you. Hopefully you can get away with 10%. But if you have, strong competitors out there, you're gonna have to spend probably at least 20%. And here's just to give you a couple numbers for some of the big boys out there.
Yeah.
Google, how many billions of dollars do they do every year? Spend 12% of their entire revenue on marketing.
That's a ton.
Apple spends 6%.
Yeah.
So they actually do really, really well for the amount that they spend on marketing, but they have a huge brand.
Yeah. Culture.
Right? And culture around that. Salesforce, one of the largest software companies, like marketing softwares out there, they spend 46% of their revenue on marketing. 46%. I want you to think about that.
That's amazing.
But they've had 25% growth year over year.
Wow.
And as a huge, billion-dollar company, that's amazing to have that kind of growth going on, right?
Well, and think about that. What are they doing? They're building for the future. They're not just looking at like, oh, I need to line my pockets right now, because if they wanted to, they could cut that back at any point and just start lining their pockets. And that's the point. They could cut that back at any point and be so insanely profitable. And that is exactly what they're going to do. They're going to keep spending 46%, growing 25% each year, year over year over year over year. And then eventually they're going to cut that marketing down, and they're going to be sitting on a big fat stack of clientele and cash, and they're going to be a big cash cow.
Yeah, exactly. But they understand that they've got to spend right now in the beginning to get there.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's the problem with most small businesses, is they go, I can't market because I gotta take that money into my house.
Yeah.
And with that attitude, you're never going to grow and be really big because of that. So that's something that you really need to think about. You need to, be looking at your numbers. Where are you at right now? And then where do you want to be? And then calculate, how much should I be spending? And then is that going to get me to where I want to go? But before we get into like the numbers, because that's kind of the homework of tonight, let's talk about, finding money in your business right now, because a lot of people are spending money in their business. They go, how many people have come to us and said, well, I don't have any money for marketing.
Any money. Yeah.
And we say, okay, great. Let's see what you're spending your money on. And we find money.
Yeah, we find money. Wasted money.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, and and real quick too, before I jump right into that, I want to mention something. Think about the companies we just named. Okay, some of the biggest and best companies in the world.
Yep.
And Google is spending 12%. And they're one of the biggest and best in the world. And they've gotten it down to 12%. So think about that for your business. Okay?
Well, and that's actually a really good point, because I just love to see someone name 10 search engines right now.
Exactly.
I can think of 3.
Exactly.
And I'm in the tech industry.
And they still have to spend 12% every year. So think about how many competitors you have. And then think about, like, when we say, hey, you might have to spend 20% on marketing, and you go, oh, think about how many competitors you have, and think about how amazing Google is, and that they're still spending 12%. Now, even better, think about Apple.
Yeah.
6%, that's unheard of. It was funny. I had a client the other day say to me, he's like, hey, my wife Googled this. And, they were saying that we should only be spending about 5%. She read something on Google that said about businesses on average should spend 5% on marketing. And I just laughed. He's like, what? And I said, dude, that is just unheard of. That is just silly. Those kind of numbers. So now think about that. Apple, an amazing product, amazing company, one of the best in the world, has a cult following. People buy everything Apple. It's Apple TV and Apple phones, Apple computers, Apple everything. And they still are not at 5%.
Yep.
They're at 6%. So think about that. As you sit back and go, oh my gosh. No, you need to be thinking, holy cow, I'm not spending enough, and that's why I'm not growing. So anyways, let's jump into money you have that you didn't realize you have. So I'll give you an example. We had a PT client come in, and we sat down with him, and he said, what's your marketing budget? He said, well, I don't have a marketing budget, 0. And I said, well, how do you get business right now? And he's like, well, on my own back, right? I go out and I meet doctors and I introduce myself and I do all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, great. So you're spending money on gas. You're spending money on your car payment. You could kind of factor that a little bit into like expense, right? So you've spent some money there. But let's look at every other aspect of your business. So we started going through like all of his bills and what he had and what he was spending money on. And it was funny. We're like, well, here's a program that's $100 a month. You don't use it. When was the last time you used it? Well, I don't know, a year or two ago. Great. That's $100. Here's this program. Oh, here's this ad that you were running in a magazine. Oh, yeah, that's marketing budget, buddy. Like, he was like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a few $100. That's like $400. So you add this all up and we came up with $500 a month that he could be spending on marketing, right? And actually 400 of it but it was just marketing that didn't work. It was this ad. And the funny thing was he just didn't even recognize that as, hey, this is marketing, right? He knew it was marketing, but he didn't really think of like, oh, that's a marketing budget. That's $400. Well, no, you have a budget. Once you can create a budget and have a vision and you say, okay, this is the number, it's easier to then spend that money versus like, oh, all this money comes into my household.
Yes.
It's too hard to take money away from the household. You have to set the money aside. So we were able to find $500 a month that he was able to spend on marketing. And that's a common theme throughout people's businesses. There is money in there that you're wasting. You have bought products that you are not using. You have systems out there you're not using. You've done marketing that isn't producing anymore, or maybe you're not tracking it. And if you're not tracking it, then you just have to assume, it's not working, because I'm sorry, if you can't track it, you can't tell me it works. Oh, well, my phone rings. Well, that's not a way to track it, because your phone could be ringing from 100 different avenues. So what we want you guys to do, we're at the end of today's podcast. What we want you to do for homework this week, we want you to actually go back and look at last year's revenue. What did you guys make last year, and how much did you spend on marketing? Now that we've gone through these different things that fall the categories of what is marketing, and that we've talked about what you should be spending on marketing, what other businesses are spending on marketing, it gives you a little bit, an eye-opener. It gives you a good framework to then figure out, what did I spend last year on marketing? That's what I want to know. What did you spend last year on marketing? Then I want you to look at, what are you doing so far this year? Are you growing? Do you look like you're growing? And then do you have your projection? Every year you should be doing a projection, and we could probably do a podcast just about that, how to create your projection, how to look forward. And I think we'll do that soon. But you should be projecting what you think you're going to do this year. And then I want to know, how much are you spending on marketing this year? And if it's 0, you're in trouble. If you're 0 and you're not growing and you're going, why don't I grow? Why are my competitors growing? Well, I can tell you why right here. It's you're not spending any money on marketing. Now, if you guys spent money on marketing last year and you saw growth and you did good, then you need to look and say, okay, now what was that percentage that I spent? Oh man, I only ended up spending 2%. And I had some growth. Great. That tells you if you market, you grow. Okay. And it's just the world. I can tell you right now, if you market, you grow.
Yep.
Guaranteed. It just is how it works. Those who are seen are the ones that make the money, right? So if you're not being seen, if you're not being found, you're not going to make the money, and your competitors will. So find out whatever that budget was last year, and then what can you increase it this year based on projections of what you think you're going to do this year versus what you did last year. And also now knowing these numbers, I give you permission to take money and spend it in marketing. The biggest hurdle we come across with all of this is people just freaking out that if I spend it, it won't work. Well, guess what? It's like the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come, right? If you build it, they will come. If you spend it, they will come. You will make it. You will make the money. It is scary, but we have literally helped thousands of businesses in many, many countries, 27, 28 countries now, grow their business. And it's honestly starts with your marketing budget and then from there, it's like what works, what doesn't, and we move on from there. So that's your homework for this week, guys. We hope you had a great time. Troy, anything?
No, that's it.
Okay,
do your homework.
Do your homework. Sit down, do your homework. That's why we're doing short episodes, because we're making it easy for you guys. Sit down and do your homework. We will see you guys next week on SoTellus Time. And as always, we love you, we appreciate you, and we're so grateful to been spending our time with you. And share us. We will see you guys next time on the next episode of SoTellus Time.